Welcome to Layer the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, let's rank the songs on Kiss Destroyer. I'm kind of having fun with this, going back to like the first albums that I heard from particular bands or my favorite albums when I was younger to these bigger bands. So this is probably my favorite Kiss record. Maybe this and Rock and Roll Over would fight for the number one spot. And when I was younger, this definitely was my favorite album. And this was a huge album for them. You know, it was a big, I'm going to say breakthrough record. I mean, kind of Alive One really broke them to the masses, but this was a big record for them. So it was kind of interesting to sort of sit down and really think about, how much do I really like all these songs on this album, and which songs do I like better than others. And I'm kind of going with the way I feel with this album today, or the last 10 years, how I feel about this record. I mean, I say this all the time. I had an uncle that was only 10 years older than me, and he had a ton of Kiss and Ted Nugent and Aerosmith and stuff like that, Cheap Trick. And so Kiss was like the first like hard rock band that I was sort of into. I always say AC/DC's Back in Black. That was when I really got into it. But when I started noticing this kind of stuff was from my uncle and his Kiss record collection. And I would go over and I would listen to his Kiss records and stuff. So, and the first piece of music I ever bought with my own money was a Kiss 45, a Dr. Love. So again, I'm not thinking like what did I think of this record when I was 8 years old. I'm kind of thinking of how I feel about this album today. And I've always said this. I love Bob Ezrin. He's one of my favorite producers, and I love his production on this. Some even the band, and some people feel it was a little bit too slick, but I like that. I like what I call headphone albums. You put them on, there's all kinds of little bells and whistles and horns and xylophones and background vocals and stuff going on. And Bob Ezrin's all about that. And there's another thing I say all the time. If you want to hear what the effect Bob Ezrin has on a band, listen to Billion Dollar Babies by Alice Cooper and this album, and you'll hear the similarities. You'll hear all the horns and the xylophones and things like that. That's Bob Ezrin, that orchestration that you hear. So, okay, we've got 9 songs on this album. We've got Side 1, Detroit Rock City, King of the Nighttime World, God of Thunder, Great Expectations. Side 2, Flaming Youth, Sweet Pain, Shout It Out Loud, Beth, and Do You Love Me? Okay, so I'm going to go from my least favorite to my favorite. My least favorite is Beth. When I was 8 years old, I kind of liked this song, but I pretty quickly grew out of Beth. And now I cannot listen to that song when it comes on. It is just so... just doesn't work for me in 2023. At my age, it doesn't work anymore. I don't particularly like Peter Criss's voice in this environment. I like when he sings like the more rocking type of stuff, but here I don't like his voice on it. I can't listen to it. The strings and everything, it is so just over the top that I almost laugh when I hear it. I really dislike that song now. I can't listen to it. Okay, pretty much everything from this point on, I do really like. So this was kind of hard to do. I'd say these bottom 2, number 8 and number 7, I could have flipped them around. Number 8 is Sweet Pain. I mean, I do like this. I like the riff and the feel of it. It's just it lands at number 8 because there's just other songs that I like better. Number 7, Flaming Youth. I do like Flaming Youth quite a bit better than Sweet Pain. I like the lyrics in it. Kiss, for me, when I think of the 70s, like quintessential 70s bands for me are like Kiss, 70s youth bands. And what I mean by that is like that kind of late 70s, all the teenagers were listening to them. Again, I just have memories of my friends, older brothers. Everybody listened to Kiss. Everybody liked Kiss. They were like this. So they always sort of represent that sort of mid to late 70s teenage youth thing. I was thinking of Kiss and I was thinking of Cheap Trick. And I think of Cheap Trick, because of that movie Over the Edge, where they play a lot of Cheap Trick in that. So Flaming Youth, I like when Kiss sings about this sort of sentiment, the kids were rock and roll, parents don't understand that kind of us against them kind of vibe. So I like that song. Okay, 6, Shout It Out Loud. This is it kind of holds the same space as maybe Rock and Roll All Night. It's like a party anthem. And this is another one again, it's sort of like the kids against the parents. Don't let them tell you that there's too much noise. They're too old to really understand, that kind of sentiment. And sometimes that stuff ages very, very badly. But like in the case of Judas Priest, I just did a Judas Priest video, which I'm not sure if it'll be up yet, where I talk about some of their lyrics and how, like, especially when you get to Turbo, some of their lyrics aged very badly. But when Kiss does it, it kind of seems cool because it doesn't seem like they're talking like themselves, like they're pretending to be kids. It sounds like they're like kind of telling the kids, like, hey, I'm an adult. Don't let these other adults, tell you what to do. They don't understand. They're not cool, so it sort of works for me because it sounds like they're defending, the youth of America, at least the youth of the 1970s there. So Shout It Out Loud. I think it's fun. It's a cool chorus. I loved it. Again, there's a whole lot going on this album. You listen to that song, it's like piano lines and everything, doubling the bass and all that stuff. I just think it's really great. I love the vibe of it. All right, number 5. This probably would have been a lot of people's least favorite. I've always liked this song, Great Expectations. And I know I'm almost contradicting myself because I said like, oh, Beth is like so sappy and over the top. And Great Expectations has that element to it too, with the strings and the choir to it, but it's almost campy. It's almost like intentional. The over the topness adds to this sort of campy nature of it. And the way Gene sings, I love when Gene sings in his lower range, when he's not like sort of doing the high demon like voice. When he's in his lower range, almost like speaking, I think it's just great. And that whole like, you see me on the stage, and the person out there and the girl out in the audience and everything. And there's an over the top nature to this song, but to me it's almost funny. And I love the way the song builds. I love Gene's delivery in it. I think the lyrics are clever, and I just love it. I just think it's super catchy. It quotes this piano. I can't remember what the piano piece is. There's a Beethoven piano piece that's quoted at the beginning of the song that I think that's pretty cool. All right, number 4. This almost landed lower on my list just because I'm kind of tired of it, but I gotta respect the song, Detroit Rock City. I wish Bob Ezrin had hung around to produce more Kiss albums because I think he brought out this, I'm certainly not going to say progressive nature, but he expanded their musicianship, if you will. That whole middle section with the layered guitars and everything I think is great. I love the lyrics, the storytelling of the whole thing, the main riff of the song, the way those chords hang and Paul's just wailing over the top. It's a great show opener for the band. So lands at number 4 for me. A little tired of the song, but I still do really like it. If I hear them play it live, if I'm at a show and they play it over the PA system, I think it's really cool. Number 3, Do You Love Me? This one is almost like Great Expectations. The lyrics, I like the lyrics in it, and again, it's sort of like a same type of thing, this like rock star fame type thing. And Kiss can pull this off without, for some people it might seem like pompous or pretentious, but it sort of works for Kiss because their whole, especially during this era of the band, their whole thing was so over the top, larger than life, that these types of lyrics work. I love the drum beat to it. I love the chorus of it. I love the like, do you love me? The way the background vocals are. And then, your backstage pass and black song, great. I love the melodies in it. And again, Kiss just is able to pull off these kind of lyrics, and I'm okay with it. All right, number 2, God of Thunder, maybe the heaviest song on the record. Here's Gene. This side of Gene, works really well. The monster Gene. I always love the groove on this. The kids' voices in the background, the sound effects and everything. The way there's like that sort of bubbling sound underneath it. I just love the groove of it. The chorus is larger than life. It's like a Gene Simmons signature song, even though Paul originally, I think there's demo versions of Paul singing this song, but it's hard to imagine anybody else, singing this song. It's totally a Gene song. All right, and number 1, the only song left for me is King of the Nighttime World. Love this song. I think it's one of the greatest 1-2 album album opener punches out there. Detroit Rock City and the King of the Nighttime World. Love the feel of this. Love the chorus. I just love the whole energy of it, the whole vibe of it. The guitar sounds and everything, and it's just a great second song on an album. Detroit Rock City really feels like an album opener, and then this feels like the album has started, and believe me, Detroit Rock City is one of the great album openers, and this as a show opener too, I think is just fantastic. There's a big car crash and that held out feedback note, and the way it all kicks in with the drums playing like fast on the snare until everything, the whole band kicks in. I just always love that song. Great song. Lands at number 1 for me on Destroyer. Okay, what did you think of my ranking of the songs on Destroyer? How about you? How would you rank them? What do you think about my take on Beth? Agree or disagree with me? How about Great Expectations? I know that's one that I think people have feelings on. Let me know in the comments down below. Till we see you again, make sure you stay heavy, stay metal.